Hello, welcome back to the Mango channel. Today we are reacting to the most profound moment in gaming, a video that takes place in the hit game of the early 2000s, Metal Gear Solid 2: Guns of the Patriots, a personal favorite of mine. I used to play that game on a PlayStation Vita. Yep, way back in the day when we still had Vitas. You don't even make Vitas anymore. You got to find them at really obscure game shops. Anyway, this is made by Max Derrat, which I'm pretty sure I had subscribed to, but let's get that taken care of, and we'll leave a like right away, and let's get to it.
For the past 4 years on this channel, I have made videos on various topics, but by far the most popular form of video I have done centers on video game analysis. What I
Hmm.
think made them so popular is that instead of being your usual video game review, I have focused primarily on narrative. Specifically, I have focused on what I believe are the best
Okay.
stories in the video game canon. For 20 odd years, video game narratives have been demonstrating a capacity to confuse, entice, and emotionally manipulate their audience in the most positive of ways.
Yeah, that's a very true statement. Hell, just look at the recent Pathways game. That was a prime example of something trying to manipulate you into believing what everything the government says, and then avoiding protesting against mass migration. Uh, I'm glad I'm not British. I'm sorry what you all have to go through out there, man. Hope it gets better.
Most recently, in fact, I have been putting forth the argument that video game narratives have demonstrated such sufficient profundity that
Ooh,
they
Silent Hill
sometimes have
2.
matched the greatest stories told in other mediums. To continue our collective celebration of our modern day digital mythology, I would finally like to give full attention to a game which
Ah! I am currently playing through this in my little single player thing I'm doing. Oh my god, this game, Spec Ops: The Line, is incredible. I wish I'd played it before, but I never got the chance. This thing is fantastic. I will eventually get to doing a playthrough on this once I figure out how the game finally works. It's blowing me away.
I would argue, has the most profound moment in gaming history. I refer to the final codec conversation from Metal Gear Solid
Yep,
2.
this was
While I
such
have
a
done
crazy
several
butt
videos
fuck.
on Metal Gear Solid
This
2
was
in the
such a
past, I have
crazy
never
mind
given
fuck.
full analytic attention to this specific moment. The main reason why is because somebody has already done so. While I have done several to the final codec conversation from Metal Gear Solid
Yep,
2. While I have done several videos
this conversation was a mind fuck. Even for me when I first played this game. Like as I got older, I've gone back and replayed it again recently. Well, I mean like maybe 2, 3 years ago. And this conversation just does nothing but speak the truth. It's kind of like what the Simpsons did, where they predict the future, unwilling or not intentionally, but it just kind of happens that way. This conversation you're about to hear is the exact same situation, and it is fantastic.
on Metal Gear Solid 2 in the past,
It's actually more scary than fantastic. I'm just used to saying that now.
I've never given full analytic attention to this specific moment. The main reason why is because somebody has already done so. My all-time favorite YouTube video is titled The Most Profound Moment in Gaming, MGS2 AI Conversation Analysis. Though it
I saw this one years ago. I'd recommend checking this out. I'll go ahead and leave a link to it in the description if it's still available. It's a great video, and it really does go in depth. I saw this a long time ago though, so I might need to revisit it too.
was released almost 9 years ago by its creator, Logo Steve, I pondered for a while how I might do a better job than he did. However, given our current cultural context, I believe I have a few other worthwhile things to contribute. The advent of subjects like fake news, the resurgence of rampant political correctness, and our tendency
George
towards
Carlin.
online tribalism has imbued this conversation with a much denser sense of meaning. To
I just read the text. That is such a real statement, dude. Everyone on Twitter is actually insane. They live in a fake reality. What can you do? I mean, it's sad. It's funny though. Like I go out there just to watch the arguments, and I retweet some of my favorite creators. Dude, they get so much shit. The whole Rev says Desu thing lately with the advanced GG dropping all of their sponsorships. Retarded. Just retarded.
those who consider themselves gamers but have never played a Metal Gear Solid game, you are obligated to at least listen to this final conversation. Not only
Agreed.
will you be enlightened by
Absolutely.
its philosophical
This is
commentary,
insane,
but you
man.
will be terrified by its implications, as I have been for my entire life.
Raiden, are you receiving? We're still here.
Oh, that
How's
voice is
that
so cool,
possible?
dude.
The AI was destroyed.
Only GW.
Who are you?
To begin with, we're not what you'd call human.
You look lost.
Yeah, you don't fucking look human, dude. Look at your face, bro. That is so fucked.
Over the past 200 years, a kind of consciousness formed layer by layer in the crucible of the White House. It's not
Ooh.
unlike the way life started in the oceans 4 billion years ago. The White House was our primordial soup, a base of evolution.
What a concept,
We
man.
are formless. We are the very discipline and morality that Americans invoke so often. How can anyone hope to eliminate us? As long as this nation exists, so will we.
Up until the end of the game, the main character Raiden believed he was receiving orders from a man named Colonel Roy Campbell, a man who was also Solid Snake's commander throughout Metal Gear Solid 1. At the end of Metal Gear Solid 2,
I need to play Metal Gear Solid 1. I've never actually beaten it. I got up to the point where you fight the Cyber Ninja guy, but I never actually got to beat him. I need to revisit that. I'll have to write that down. Ooh, here we go.
Raiden learned that his colonel was in fact an artificial intelligence, manipulating Raiden to perform its political bidding. The bidding in question refers to the AI's desire to control the human race by controlling the spread of information via the press and the internet, but we'll focus on that more in a moment. During the first part of this conversation, the audience learns how this AI came to be, and surprisingly, it is similar to the way human beings as a species came to be. Unlike the origin of human life in the oceans, the AI's quote-unquote life.
Whoa! Brother, you might need to get some sensor bars on that one. We got some Stone Age titties on screen. Oh god. Oh lordy lordy lordy. So fucked.
At its basis in American idealism, hence the AI's referencing of the White House as a symbol. In the mind of the AI, their purpose is to push forward American values.
She had them ooga boogas, Gerald. She had them ooga boogas.
Things like freedom, equality, and healthy competition. However, Raiden points out what should be an obvious contradiction in the AI's thought process, that the AI wants to take away those freedoms via censorship.
Cut the
Ah,
crap. If
yep.
you're immortal, why would you take
Sounds
away
like what's
individual
going on.
freedoms and censor the net?
Jack, don't be silly.
Don't you know that our plans have your interests, not ours, in mind?
What?
Jack,
It's one of the scariest things to ever hear from an AI. Dude, no thank you. I'm gonna pass on that. Yeah, fuck no.
listen carefully, like a good boy.
Okay, maybe we can call it back. Maybe it might be working. All right, maybe.
Not only are the AI about to argue for the ethics of controlling information, but they are going to do so
That's
in a
pretty
very
bad.
condescending manner. As we move on, I suggest that you, the listener, pay attention to how the AI demeans Raiden. Their pomposity is intrinsic to the effectiveness of their future argument.
Oh,
The mapping
man.
of the human genome was completed early this century. As a result, the evolutionary log of the human race lay open to us.
We started with genetic engineering, and in the end, we succeeded in digitizing life itself.
But
That's
there are things not covered
no.
by genetic information.
Fuck
What do
no.
you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
History.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be
History.
passed on?
I keep thinking history because I'm playing through New Vegas right now in my spare time, and just that word. Every time I hear that word, it's just either bear, bull, history, Ulysses.
Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
Correct.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
What the AI is trying to do here is
Well,
illustrate how genes function
she's not
similar to
wrong.
how memes function. If genes are, quote, a
When I say memes, I refer to their academic definition as units of information. Yeah, we're not talking about a funny SpongeBob meme here, guys.
unit of heredity which is transferred from a parent to offspring and is
Oh, there
held
you
to
go.
determine some characteristic of the offspring, then a meme is something like an ethic, a fact, or an opinion that later generations
Epictetus.
inherit.
How the hell do you say that name? I'm gonna sound like such an uneducated idiot. Epic Epictect. Hmm. Epictetus. There's no extra C, Logan. There's no extra C there, Mango. Shit. Epictetus. Epictetus? Epictetus. 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 Yeah, fuck it.
Like
Epictetus.
genes,
Epictetus! Yeah, that's.
memes are also
Shut
subject
up!
to a process called natural selection. If certain organisms are better adapted to their
Oh.
environment than others, then their genes are passed on to the next generation while others have the potential to die off. Similarly, if certain memes seemingly hold enough meaning or logic, then supposedly they survive better than memes that do not. What distinguishes memes from genes
Oh.
is the nature of the selection process. Genes are more or less subject to the amoral discretion of nature, but memes can be analyzed and weeded out via moral discretion. However, the AI will now illustrate how the natural selection of memes bears a unique problem in the internet age compared to the past few centuries.
But in the current digitized
Okay.
world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness.
This statement alone says a lot about where we are as a species, especially today. I mean, that statement alone could just literally be applied to anything.
Never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
What did my favorite celebrity do this week? Read every tabloid journal, and you just suddenly just want to slowly commit a Kurt Cobain. That is such a fucked up joke. Slowly want to commit a an act of self-deletion. Slowly want to commit a fuck. My phone just made a shotgun sound.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
Prior to the internet
Oh,
age,
man.
information was curated. We read about the news in newspapers, watched the news on TV, and it was all funneled to us after passing through a, hopefully, professional body. Granted,
Correct.
there was a greater potential for curators such as journalists, editors, and academics to manipulate information to fit their various political biases.
And now we use YouTubers. Or if you're like me, you use Ground News. Not sponsored, but hey, I'd like to be. Ground News, if you see this, hey, throw your boy a bone. Woo! I won't bark for you though. Not that kind of dog.
But at least there was some form of selection process going on. In the age of the internet, however, information is released so fast that it is impossible to control the discussion. Instead of listening exclusively to reporters, we are left to our own devices to derive what is valuable. Except, unlike the curators in the pre-digital age, the general population does not know how to separate the wheat from the chaff. We will
Oh,
focus on
man.
small,
Yep. All I'm gonna say is yep to this. This picture just says everything.
trivial issues like a celebrity's love life, rather than
Oh, I called it celebrity shit. See? Boom, boom. I'm Batman. I literally know what's happening before it has to go down. I prepared for this. Not pre-watched.
macro issues, such as the cumulative monetary debt of the Western world. We will only listen to news sources that confirm our pre-existing political leanings and ignore any challenging voices. If it sounds like I'm engaging in apologetics for censorship, I am not. I would never censor information under any circumstances. But what does one do in respect to the destructive influence of human bias? The AI goes on to propose a solution.
What do you think it's gonna be? See, he's literally saying here, you seem to think our plan is one of censorship. So if he's arguing it's not, what do you think it's going to be?
You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we
Uh-oh.
propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context.
The AI argues that because they are
scary
not prone to
concept, man.
human error and have inner CPUs with greater processing power than the human brain, they would know how to curate information and present it to the human race in a way that doesn't slow human evolution. Unlike your average political body, which might
My only question with this really to be, my only question for this really would be, at what point do you allow the computer to dictate every action you make? Because that is the moment you start having some serious issues. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to sacrifice your free will or your so-called projectable destiny that you make for yourself when something else is already predetermined where you're going to be in life. That's when you get to serious dystopia, you know, and this is saying a lot.
Might censor information that is inconvenient to their cause, the AI would simply present information in the most factual way possible so that political bias would not intervene, thus
Mm.
cooling political tensions across the political spectrum. Of course, if something like the AI's censorship program came into place, ethical questions would arise regarding whether or not this compromises human freedom, specifically our quote-unquote free will. Ideally, human beings should have the autonomy to make their own decisions, no matter what mistakes may follow. In response, the AI argues why the problems that arise from that freedom supposedly necessitate censorship.
The digital society furthers
Interesting.
human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
That's so
Although there
true.
are
Oh
people
my god.
suffering in
That one makes me
poverty,
mad.
huge donations are made to protect endangered species.
Yep.
Everyone grows up being told
California and the smelt fish versus their increasing homeless population, despite being given billions of dollars to throw at it, they haven't fixed anything. Makes you wonder where that money's going, huh? Mm.
the same thing,
Be nice to other people.
but beat out the competition.
You're special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But
Oh
it's
man.
obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
You exercise your right to freedom, and this is the result. All rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt.
Here, the AI
Diabolical.
illustrates the various ways in which human error corrupts truth. That human error arises from an instinctual drive to protect ourselves emotionally and physically, which truth
Echo
tends
chambers.
to threaten.
That's
For
exactly what I was just
instance,
thinking.
let's say a religious fundamentalist is confronted with various scientific truths that challenge their worldview. Let's say the fundamentalist loses faith when confronted by those truths. What happens psychologically is that because the fundamentalist no longer has a belief system to make sense of the world, they are thrown into a mental pit of confusion and resentment. That loss of structure and certainty is so painful to the ideologue that it seems it would be better to avoid that feeling at all costs. This
Oh,
instinct is endemic to almost all human beings.
Anyone that isn't willing to listen to two sides of an argument and they only agree with one completely, even after hearing everything, is the same kind of person this guy is describing. You know, if you sit in your own echo chamber and you can't handle someone else's opinion without getting physically, mentally, or emotionally angry over it, then you shouldn't be involved in having a conversation with someone else since you can't control yourself.
This is why we separate ourselves into political tribes and won't consider the ethical implications of our positions. For
Yep.
instance, is it right to be pro-choice or pro-life? Instead of considering the validity of either side's argument, the pro-life crowd will chastise the pro-choice crowd as being on par with murderers, and the pro-choice crowd will chastise the pro-life crowd as being misogynist, religious zealots that want to control women. These low-resolution
man, that's
assumptions
so true.
exacerbate tensions between political parties and can potentially
It's
lead to
ridiculous.
violent conflict. Most people will avoid these difficult conversations to preserve order, but if you ignore them long enough, political positions become cemented, and people will kill each other before they admit that they're wrong about something. The
Yeah,
AI
no,
then present a
100%.
future where
They will.
human bias corrupts the flow of information.
The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Everyone
God,
withdraws
that's
into their
crazy.
own small gated community, afraid of a
They literally predicted echo chambers before echo chambers were even really a thing. This was like pre-superior internet, you know. I think like after 2010, almost everybody had access to the internet and almost everybody had like a computer in their home to use, you know. It's just crazy where this all led to.
larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds,
Their
leaking whatever
ponds.
truth suits them
God,
into the
that's so
growing
crazy.
cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated, but nobody is right.
No one is invalidated, but nobody is right. That is such a perfect analogy. No, sorry, that is such a perfect summary of this entire thing boiled down to one sentence. Beautiful.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And
What's
this
my
is the way
truth?
the world
Goodness.
ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper.
As we saw in the
That is
20th
so
century,
wild,
whether
man.
it is with Hitler's fascism or Stalin and Mao's communism, the ideologically possessed would rather kill millions in the name of their ideology rather than consider the arguments of their political opponents. We see this type of
Exactly.
attitude in its nascent
Exactly.
stages in the
It
digital
just
age,
happened
whether it's
recently.
calling everybody who disagrees with you a racist, sexist, homophobic Nazi or a West-hating communist. This attitude is pervasive throughout social media.
Dude, I've gotten called a Nazi for being America first. Isn't that some crazy shit, dude? Like, oh my God. I can't stand the stupidity of some people. It drives me insane.
Forums, and comment sections. This type of inflammatory language has further polarized our political climate and has resulted in violent clashes. In the mind of the AI, this is due
Damn.
to the fact that we insulate ourselves by staying inside our little ponds and casting all outsiders and dissidents as bad people. If this
Yeah.
continues to
No,
happen, who
100%.
knows what violent oppressive future might manifest? Unlike the reality of MGS2, where a supposedly benevolent AI can make the hard decisions for us, our reality might become a sort of Orwellian nightmare, which the AI wants to prevent.
We're trying to stop that from happening.
It's our responsibility as rulers. Just as in genetics,
As
unnecessary
rulers.
information and memory must
Spooky,
be
man.
filtered out to stimulate the evolution of the species.
And you think you're qualified to decide what's necessary and not?
Absolutely. Who else
Oh,
could wade through the sea of garbage you people produce,
damn.
retrieve valuable truths,
That's
and even
fucking
interpret
crazy,
their
dude.
meaning for later generations?
That's what it means to create context.
I want to remind you
Dude,
all that Metal Gear Solid 2 came out in 2001. This game was
this came out. I didn't know. I forgot about that, to be honest with you. 2001. Holy shit, man.
warning us about the advent of fake news, misinformation, and half-truths roughly 2 decades before the issue captured our collective attention. Worse yet, not only do the AIs describe a potentially dystopian future for both our reality and the reality of the game, but they also make us inadvertently realize that we currently have no constructive solution to the problem. The only tactic
Oh,
available
fuck.
at the moment
I
is
didn't even
for
think about that.
individuals to strengthen their moral compass and call out misinformation where possible. However, given humanity's inherent imperfection, even the best of us are prone to mistakes. Worse
True.
yet, instead of bolstering the best among us despite their mistakes, we will feverishly exacerbate the mistakes of our opponents for political gain. We see this quite
God, that is
vividly
so
in what has
true.
been aptly termed call-out culture. For instance, it is thanks to this culture that there is no host for the Oscars this year. It is thanks to this culture that people will be fired from their job over a tweet they made 10 years ago. A person might even be fired for a tweet that was taken out of context, when said person did nothing wrong whatsoever. Worst of all, it is thanks to this culture that we will elect politicians not based on their ethics or policies, but on how effectively they can punch the other side. And let me
Yeah. Yeah,
re-emphasize,
that's very
we
true.
have no
That
solution
was
to
the
this problem.
entirety
In the
of
reality of Metal Gear Solid 2, however, a
well,
hypothetical solution is presented. Because
I'll probably keep
people
that one to myself.
abuse the responsibility that comes along with freedom of speech and expression and would rather attack people than their ideas, a system that controls information must be set up, supposedly for our own good. The AI go into more detail regarding this solution as the conversation goes on. However, that analysis will have to be saved for the second part of this video. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked this video,
Thank you, Max Derrat, for making this video. It was a real pleasure watching. Thank you for joining me. I will be leaving a link in the description below to the original video, and I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you. Have a great night.